Everybody, Jay and Manion here at the MPC Photo Gym. It's the first day for the road to the Pittsburgh Pro, and I am here with classic physique competitor,
Dominic Carter.
You can call him Mr. Universe. Dom won the overall universe last year, MPC Universe, so that's why I'm saying that. His wife doesn't know how lucky she is.
I'm not going to tell her that.
She's going to see the video.
Well, we'll see how she feels about it. I'll go with whatever she decides to call me.
Smart man. That's how you stay married. All right, Dom. Okay, first time here. What do you think of the place?
I am still in a state of awe and shock. It's amazing. I'm humbled to even be here. Just pulling up and seeing something that for me invokes a lot of emotion, because I never thought I would be here. And the gym itself is awesome, of course. But just the experience of being able to learn and to have conversations with people who are in the know and understand what it is we as competitors need to improve on. You couldn't really ask for much more.
Yeah, when he walked in, the first person he sees besides me is my dad. So
yes, and he has no need to be as gracious and kind to me as he was, and he took time out and he remembered me from Universe, and
he gave you the very specifics of it too, didn't he?
Oh yes, he did. He remembered everything. He remembered everything, and I appreciate that. You know, he doesn't have to do that. And it lets you know, it speaks to his character and his genuine, love for the sport. And as a competitor, you couldn't ask for more. So I'm really glad and humbled to be here, and looking forward to all the things that are coming next.
We got 41 days.
41 days of prep. Yes. One day at a time. one training session at a time, one day at a time, one meal at a time. But it's been a good prep. I'm looking forward to this show for a number of reasons. For me, this is like top 3 shows in bodybuilding. In the lineup for this show is maybe just a handful of people short.
I think classic physique is just as competitive as the MOPA men's bodybuilding.
Yes, 100% where I was going. It's nearly the Olympia lineup. And for me, I try to pick shows that are going to push me, to let me know where I stand amongst the best. And when you get that feedback and you get that experience, it helps you to progress more efficiently. You get there faster as long as you listen, and you listen to the feedback, you know where you stand. And I'm also a fan. So being up there with some of these guys and seeing the guys backstage and meeting some of the open guys who are getting ready to come up, and compete next, that might be even more exciting for me because I've been following bodybuilding since I was a young teenager, and to be in their presence it's kind of surreal. It's pretty awesome.
Okay, so before we move on, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering how tall he is and how much he weighs.
I am still 6'3", and this morning fasted. Weigh-in was 256. Weight cap is 249, so I'll probably hold here for a little bit longer, drop down. But that's where we are today.
Yeah, the other funny thing is my dad took a picture with him and made him do a redo because he didn't like the height difference.
Yeah, I felt bad about that. I'm like,
I didn't.
That's because it's your dad. For me, I'm like, I should have done a little dip at the knees or something.
Well, he had him sit on the machine.
Yes, I'm glad he had me sit in the seat the way he did, because it was an abductor machine. It looked really strange if he'd be like, yeah, get in the machine. No. So yeah, that was funny. He was a good sport about it, so I appreciate him. That was fun.
Well, he knew that I would publish the other picture. That's why.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I don't want any trouble. So, please.
It wouldn't have been. I would have been, but it would have been worth to be yelled at for it.
Yes. I think it's just, again, it's one of those things where I'm sitting here and I'm like, man, I got a picture with Jim Manion, with the president of the very sport I never thought I would be able to compete in. And
when he walked in, I said, "That is." He goes, "I know who this is."
Yes.
Like I was the dummy.
I'm like, he knows who I am. I'm nobody, right? And he knows, he remembers me.
And then he gave those specifics, and you were like,
Yeah, he remembered the booth. He remembered everything. I remember the conversation coming out and me seeing him, and I'm standing here. My wife's like, "What's wrong?" It's like, "You don't know who that is? That's Jim Manion." She's like, "Okay, who's that?" And I'm like, She said, "You go talk to him." I said, "Ah, he looks busy." Go over there. I'm like, "Well, I'll buy something, right?" And it's the IFBB.
That's what we had just debuted it there.
Yes, yep. It was the new apparel, and I was like, "Well, I like that. I like that sweater, and I can get some shorts." And then he starts talking to me, and I'm like, "Oh shoot, what do I say?" And so it was a moment of, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe this is real. And at the same time, he's not going to remember who I am. And then sure enough, he remembered everything nearly verbatim. And I was like, man, this is happening. This is really cool. So I love, competing. It's really fun. I like the dieting down and all the quote unquote struggles that come with this. Because for me, it's fun to watch the transformation. It's fun to push yourself. But the fan in me likes all the other aspects of it. Seeing all the other competitors, meeting the kind of family that you kind of build in this sport, it's different than other sports. Everybody's kind of, I won't say everybody, most of us are supporting each other, right? And you're cheering each other on. You're backstage, you're like, dude, you look awesome. And people all over the world, right? You don't even live in the same country. Right. And I still get messages from other guys who are like, hey man, remember that picture we took? I'm like, you know what? I'm going to post it. And so, it's one of those things that I really enjoy about it. And that kind of collaboration between the competitors, but also being able to get up there and do your thing.
So what got you into weight training? Did you play sports growing up?
I did. I started out playing soccer about probably 5 years old, I guess. Followed that with basketball, did both all the way through high school. And in my senior year, I had to make a decision to continue playing. And I dropped both and said, you know what? I just want to get bigger. Because at the time, so when I was 13, my dad took us into the gym. He was a bodybuilder in his youth. He's probably far more genetically blessed than I am. My brother got his genes, but my brother didn't. In his words, so you can't get mad at me if you see this. He said, I don't have the discipline to do that. I don't want to do that. It's too hard. And it's like, man, what a waste, dude. You got these legs that are ridiculous. And so that's kind of how it started. And I fast forward, I get to my senior year in high school. I had been doing legs before soccer practice because I wanted to get legs in. That was the only way to do it. And then I was like, I'm never going to really be able to grow like this. So I told my coaches, I said, I'm done. I just want to get bigger. And that's how it morphed into this. And I just kind of did everything on my own. Learned, I used to take my dad's old diets from his nutritionist friend. And I tried to eat like that. It was too much food. And, I would slowly start learning. And then there's the education aspect. So I was gearing up to go to PA school. So a lot of my education background was, pre-med. I started with an associate's in applied science because I dual enrolled when I was in high school. So I did that at that time. Then later I got a master's in public health. All of those things were gearing me towards that end. And I gave that up because of family reasons. And it ended up being very advantageous towards this. So a lot of people at the gym would ask me questions and I could answer them with an actual physiological answer based on, this is what the science says and this is why you're feeling this way. Or, hey man, you're not adding more size because you don't have any fats in your diet. You don't have a significant number of fats and it's going to affect your absorption, blah, blah, blah. So all of that stuff led to me getting here. But the most significant one was probably my coach, Chris Tuttle. He was my coach well before I ever did a show.
Okay. How'd you get involved with Chris? Like, how'd you find him?
I went online. I knew this was like 2016. I still have the emails, Chris. I wanted someone to help me get past where I was stuck. I was always worried I was going to get fatter. It was totally irrational. I've never been fat in my life. I couldn't get fat if I tried. But I was always worried that I'm going to eat too many carbs or I'm going to do something wrong. So I wanted a coach who could help me move beyond that. Not because I was going to compete. I just wanted to see how much bigger I could get. And I had really specific requirements. I wanted somebody who had a background in bodybuilding. I wanted somebody who had an educational background. And obviously, it needed to be a fit in terms of personality. And he met all of those quite easily. He was still active competitive competition-wise.
Right.
And so as soon as I started working with him, within like 2 months, it was like, holy crap. And he just laughed about it. He's like, yeah, you need to eat a lot more food. And that's when I learned what a lot of food meant. And it's different, right? For some people, 4,000 calories is a lot. For some of us, you got to go over 6,000 calories, and so on. So that was how that started. He was like, man, you have a good structure. You should think about competing. Well, I had to go on deployment, did that whole thing, came back, and had to move. So re-engage with Chris, and was like, okay, probably just before COVID, we were gonna he was gonna do it. We were gonna do a show, and 4 weeks out, it's like, I can't do this. I backed out. It's too much stress in life. I found excuses, and yeah, that's how I met Chris. How I got here also involved Chris, but there was a period in between where a buddy of mine, James Ball, who's also an officer in the Navy, he was coaching. And I told Chris's wife, Chris did not know this. I said, I'm going to do a show, but I don't want Chris to know. I'm doing this to prove to him that I'm committed and can actually finish. And then I want to get back in touch with Chris and try to do something. So James actually got me through the Jay Cutler Classic, which was my first show. And that was in 23. And we won overall. And so I told him what I was doing, got back in touch with Chris. Chris is like, I'm saving a spot for you. So that's how I got here. And so now Chris is stuck with me until he's either had enough or he doesn't coach anymore, I guess, whichever happens. So he's been, I have a very short list of coaches I recommend. He is among the top of those. He's very, very good at what he does. So that's the very long version.
That's okay. That's okay. All right. So are you allowed to tell people what your job is?
Yeah. I mean, there are things I won't get into in the specifics, but yeah, I'm a naval intelligence officer. Everybody's like, well, what does that mean? Are you a spy? Are you? It's
NCIS.
I actually was at NCIS doing law enforcement intelligence operations. Some really, really wild stories. So if anybody ever finds me one-on-one and wants a story, a C story as we call them, then yeah, I've got stories. But I've done that. I have traveled around the world for some of my intel functions and jobs and responsibilities. I was the country officer for Norwegian and British/UK intelligence partnerships. So I spent a good amount of time in Norway. Been to the mecca of bodybuilding there, actually. I made it a point on my trips to go train. Shout out to Harold. And I've been to places in the UK and done stuff there. Did not make it to Jordan Peters' gym yet, but that is on my list. So intel-wise, yeah, we do a lot of cool stuff. There's a lot of things obviously you can't talk about, but a lot of stories.
Well, I bring that up to show that, working a high-level job and you're still able to do this.
Yes. It's one of those things where as someone who's started coaching just very little on the side, when I vet someone, somebody says, hey, do you coach? Can you coach me? One of the things I ask about is, well, what do you do besides just wanting to be a bodybuilder? Because the majority of bodybuilders, even on the actual pro side, competitor side, aren't making all their money from competing. You need to have a solid foundation. And not to say that bodybuilding has to just be a hobby, but it's certainly helpful to have a stable income because it affects your environment. You want a stable environment. You can't go into this and be stressed out about finances, stressed about anything. Stress will just derail your prep, derail your progress. So it's very helpful to have that stability. And along with that, I'm a big advocate, because I'm an MPH, that you have healthcare insurance.
NPH is?
Oh, Master's of Public Health. So if you,
NPH, okay.
yeah, sorry. If you don't have health insurance, you're going to be forking out a lot of money, especially if you're working with a coach who cares about you, to make sure you're staying up to speed on your health, whether it's vitals, lab markers, whatever. Because obviously, when you're trying to get to a professional level in any sport, you're taking things to a level that is generally not the healthiest, whether it's professional basketball in the NBA, football, bodybuilding, doesn't matter. They're all, in fact, we see it all the time. We hear other fans like, oh, well, that's because, LeBron James has this team of, well, yes, he needs that team because he's pushing his body beyond the normal physiological limits, right? That's what we want to see. Nobody's paying to watch a football game with a bunch of regular guys just doing regular stuff.
Right.
So, that's part of it. And so those things that come with having a stable job or a stable career are really beneficial. But a lot of times we make excuses, right? We say, oh, I just want to be a bodybuilder. I want to be a pro. I want to have a podcast. I want to get on the Olympia stage. And so I don't have time for all that. I can't do that. You can. You just have to manage your priorities and your time. And it usually works out for the better, from what I've seen.
Right. Plus, married, have a kid, everything too. So there's a whole litany of stuff in there that you can make excuses for.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you want something, if you truly want something, that's the last thing you do is rationalize or make excuses as to why you're not going to do it. Instead, it's the opposite. What you usually see, whether it's good or bad, if somebody wants something, they will find excuses as to why they are going to get it, or rationalize around everything to make sure they do get it, even if it's something that's to their detriment. I've seen it. Sometimes it's not good. We see competitors who will push beyond the brink of their health and their limitations and end up harming themselves. It's no different. It's the same concept. They wanted it so bad, they made excuses as to why they weren't going to go look at their labs, where they weren't going to skip the show because they weren't physically doing well. And it's sad. It's sad to see it. We all know some of the higher profile, athletes who that's happened to, but that's what happens. That's where you have to be able to have a good support network, a stable environment, people who are going to check you and say, listen, a coach who cares enough to say, we're not doing this show, or stop messing around. We're going to do this show. You're just being, lazy or undisciplined or whatever. You're going to be hungry. You're going to be tired. You're going to be sore. It goes both ways.
Yeah. All right. So I just wanted to show that you can do what he does and still do all this.
Yes. And to be fair, I don't want to sound like, just because I can do it, you can do it. I'm not special. So I do think that most people can do what I do. But I do recognize there's another side of this. And I noticed this as an athlete in high school. I had coaches tell me, if you want to be the best at anything, that's what you have to put everything into. You can't be the best basketball player and the best soccer player that you can be. You got to pick one. And I think that's generally true. Now, the best depends on who's around you, right? Who are you comparing yourself to? But the truth is, the best of yourself, that directly applies. You can't put 100% into this and 100% into that. That's impossible. So I think there is some weight to that. But at the end of the day, you have to consider your future, and you have to consider things that are maybe in your blinders, when you have blinders on and you're scope locked and all you're looking at is, I want to be a pro bodybuilder, you miss everything around you. You miss opportunities. You miss looking at things through the lens of foresight and seeing down the road. I've had guys tell me, I'm whatever age and I don't care about doing some of these things, or I don't want to have kids, so I don't care about X, Y, or Z. And it's like, you don't want to have kids right now. Or you don't care about your health right now. But in 10 years, you're going to look back and be like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. So there's a level of wisdom and discernment that needs to come with those decisions. It's often overlooked because when you're 19, 20, 21 years old, that's not what you're thinking about. You're invincible. So yeah, that's a whole nother side of it that I do appreciate because I was once that age and I once thought similarly. So I get it. But yeah, that's the approach I kind of take and the lens through which I look at it.
All right. Now, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to? Anybody else?
I got to keep this list short. Obviously, Chris Tuttle, and everything he has done. James Ball for getting me into and through that first show. My family, of course, goes without saying. Lindsay, my son Dominic, my parents, because they gave me the genetics to do this and they've supported me and my family. They come to the shows to watch my son so he can be there, but I can still do what I need to do. That's probably the starting point. There are so many others. John Duncan, he's an open pro who's been wildly supportive. I came into the gym. He thought I was already a pro. I said, never competed. He said, what are you doing? He's supportive the whole time. He called me up at the show while I was waiting to get ready to go on stage and checked in on me. Guys like that make you want to keep competing. Right. There's a whole long list of folks I'm sure I'm forgetting. Nicole Lindbergh, a former squadron mate of mine. She's getting back into competing, and I got to go see her compete. She's been wildly supportive. So many people. So yeah, I'll stop there. Those are the people that come to mind right away who have helped me to get here. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. Yourself, Tyler, there were a couple other folks who were on the other side of the stage who do not know the conversations I had after meeting you guys and interacting with you and getting your feedback. The reason I signed up for Pittsburgh Pro was because of you. After Universe, and we went the next day and we had to do the photo shoot, you mentioned it. I said at that moment to my wife, said, well, guess I know what show I'm doing. Said I'm doing it because he mentioned it. And if he asks me to do it or says he thinks I should do it, guess what I'm doing? Because I trust his judgment, and he's been nothing but kind. You were nothing but welcoming and kind to us when you didn't have to be. Once again, you were in a position you don't have to do that. You could treat us just like stray dogs. Like, come on, get your pictures, and let's get out of here. You spent a lot of time with us. Tyler has given me feedback on multiple occasions, and what people don't know, I emailed Tyler for feedback from Universe. Or maybe it was Texas Pro. It was one of the two. And he emailed me back so fast. I was like, I didn't think he was going to email me back at all. I was like, this guy probably gets these emails all day long, has no time for this, but let me just send an email and see what he says. And he did. And for me, what that says is, despite his position, despite your position, despite the level of authority and responsibility you have within this organization, you still look at athletes as the people we are first and say, they're willing to reach out. I'll take the time to talk to them. I'll take the time to help them if that's what they want. And so for me, I don't take it for granted. It's probably helpful that I am childlike in my excitement and I see you guys, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the Manions. And so, that for me, this is all, I'll end it with this. I have a lot of people who will come to me and say, my dream is X. And I say, well, that's great. When you wake up, tell me what your goal is. And so when this went from being a dream to a goal, that was an achievable objective. And that's a big reason on how I got here. It was a dream until I said, you know what, I'm going to do this thing. I went out and I did it. That's how it starts. So you guys played a big role in that, because it shaped my perspective and it made me feel like, okay, I belong here. So I appreciate that. I think those are the shout outs I'm going to give for now.
Well, I think you do belong, since my dad did remember you.
Yes, I still can't.
That's the ultimate right there. Seriously, I'm not even joking. And anybody that knows my dad knows what I'm saying.
I can't. When I came in, he was on the phone. I saw him, so I walked away. And when you had him come out, and he remembered me, I was like, why? why do you remember me?
You're probably thinking he's just saying it until he started going into details, right?
Yes. I was like, okay, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. And then he told that story. I'm like, oh, shucks. He remembers that rather very specific story, because, I mean, you heard it. It's like, I want to buy stuff, but this says pro on it, and I might not get that pro card today. And he's like, just come back with your money. He knew before I did. So,
well, I think that part of the story that people probably are not thinking about is that he was actually behind the booth selling the clothes.
Yes. So, maybe it was all part of the plan. But regardless, that I still can't believe it. I'm like, I am not, in my eyes, certainly at that point, I didn't see myself the way other people saw me. I certainly, I guess, didn't see myself the way he did. And so for him to say that and to remember that interaction was obviously very encouraging. But it also, again, I'm like, super grateful that that's the person behind all of this. It's somebody who actually does not only love the sport, obviously, but cares about the athletes. Right. You don't get that everywhere. So that meant a lot. And I owe a lot to all of you for giving me this opportunity. And I'll try not to let you down in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So I appreciate it, sir.
All right. So J.M. Manion.
Dominic Carter.
Signing out for NBCNewsOnline.com. See you in Pittsburgh, May 10th and 11th. Keep following our Instagram page and all of our pages, but the Instagram page is going to have a lot of things. We're going to be having his interview and training and posing up on NBCNewsOnline.com. So, but just remember, we're 41 days out. So people, sometimes they go, oh man, is that what they look like? Well, dude, that was 6 weeks ago, But yeah, get your tickets. If you go to the contest website, get your tickets. They're for sale right now. It's going to be incredible with the expo and everything else. That's all I'm going to say. All right. Signing out for NBCNewsOnline.com.